Hey everyone, this is Heather with Young and Savvy Genealogists, and today I'm going to be starting a series, a little mini series on the Tier 1 tools of GEDmatch. Originally, I know I had announced that I was going to make this into a single video where I talk about the Tier 1 tools on GEDmatch, but that video got so long that I need to break this up into multiple different videos. So today I'm going to be covering the one-to-many match list, the matching segment search, and the relationship calculator. I'm going to cover these pretty much sequentially in the way that they appear on the website, so that leaves us with starting with the one-to-many matches. There are two of these options available on GEDmatch, one of which is free and one of which is paid, and this is the paid version of it. And in terms of how it works, it basically performs the same function as the other match list. The only significant differences are ones where you actually lose some functionality with the paid list. You gain the ability to do some advanced column filtering. There are boxes at the top where you can type different things. So if you want to isolate by email address, or you want to see other matches of different sizes or whatever, however you want to filter your matches, you'll be able to do that with those filtering boxes. But in terms of some of the features that you lose, some of them are actually kind of important. And the two that jump out to me as being the most important, any new matches that you have gained since the past 30 days, they show up usually in a shade of green. That doesn't happen on the new list, or at least I haven't noticed it. And, to me, that's a feature that's pretty important. That's usually how I go about updating my own personal database. It's not the biggest of deals because that option is still available. And the thing that really sets this tool at a disadvantage to the existing match list is it doesn't allow you to set your own custom match criteria. At the top of the paid one-to-many match list, you'll see that you have the ability to set matching criteria. However, it puts it in a drop-down list. Matching criteria that I prefer to use is 7 centimorgan segments and 700 SNPs. And this isn't something that I'm able to do on this match list. It may be useful to other people, especially if they're not going to keep their own separate database. Having that ability to do filtering on GEDmatch is valuable in that case. But this is something that doesn't necessarily, it's not all that useful to me. The second tool that I wanted to look at is the matching segment search, and this one is very, very valuable. And I'm gonna share with you one of the applications that you could potentially do with this, and I may follow up with releasing a tool which will make this possible. I've been working on it for several weeks now, and I just need to put the polishing touches on it. And I'll make it available in the Etsy store, so be on the lookout for that. I'll leave a link to it in the description. What this tool does is it sorts your cousin match list into a table. The way that it's sorting everybody in it is by the matching segments that they have in common. I don't know if it includes every single one of your cousin matches, but at least for a lot of them, it puts them together and matches them by the segment that they share. And what this tells you is when you're looking at people who share a common segment, they appear in the same ancestral line or have a common ancestor. One of the other things that this tool does is it takes every person, or at least as many people as appear on the list, and it puts them on a separate line by each segment that they have in common with you. Every DNA segment that the person shares with you is treated as a separate entry in the table. So scrolling through the list, and I would show this to you, but there's no way to demonstrate it without violating all kinds of privacy standards that have been established. So that's why you're not going to see any screenshots in this presentation, because it's not physically possible for me to show them to you and guarantee any kind of privacy, so I'm just not going to do it. What this allows you to do and why this is unique is you can copy that information from that table and put it into Excel and then import that Excel table directly into Access and use Access as the offline platform where you can use and manipulate and further interpret that data. So the filtering options that you get from the one-to-many matches are nothing compared to the filtering and sorting and querying options that you get in Access. So if that's something that you like, you'll really enjoy working with Access. And this is the only way that I've seen where you can do a bulk import of all of your cousin matches into an Access database. And if that's something that you're going to do, when you run the utility, you're going to see an option for a bar graphic. If you're going to do the bulk import, though, you turn this off. Another utility that I think is really amazing is the relationship calculator. This, in and of itself, would be worth all of the money that I will ever give to GEDmatch in order to be able to use it, because this is a tool that was built with people like me in mind. So at the time that I took my DNA test, I had 2 unknown birth fathers for both of my grandmothers. So neither one of my grandmothers knew their birth fathers. When you come across cousins that you think are connected to those lines, you're working with a lot of unanswered questions and incomplete information. And what this tool will allow you to do is to basically see different models based on the DNA connections that you share with various cousins to work out these unknown relationships. It will model different relationships of how this person could potentially be related to you and who your common ancestors would have to be. And it does that by asking a series of questions. And based on some of the questions that it asks to present the most accurate model it can, one of the most important questions it has to ask is whether or not the cousin match matches you on your X DNA. And to be the most accurate possible, it has to know whether it's an X DNA match or not. This tool only works with matches who share at least one segment of X DNA with you. This isn't something that I would be able to use on my mother's side for her unknown parentage because of the lines of inheritance that happen with X DNA. It's just not something I would be able to see. But on my paternal side, this is something that has really worked out for me, and I'll talk about that more in the example I'm going to share. Who this would help? Anyone with non-paternal events in your recent generations. Another group of people that this would really help are adoptees who have at least a partial tree. Some of the adoptees that I've spoken to and that I've helped, they have at least half of their tree figured out. So they know at least something about either their birth mother or their birth father, but they still have the whole other half of the tree unknown. And they're looking at tons of cousin matches, and they can tell because of what they know about at least one of their parents that these matches come from the other side of their tree, but they have no idea how anything fits together. This type of modeling would be really, really helpful in that type of situation. It also helps if you are looking at a relatively recent match and you're trying to work out how you're related, and the line that you think they match you on is an unknown line, as I've already talked about. You've got an idea in your mind of where you think the relationship is, but you're not sure if that makes sense with the amount of DNA that you share. So if you're trying to confirm a theory on where you think a relationship is, this is a tool that you can use basically to get a second set of eyes on your conclusion to see if it's sound, to see if it matches with the numbers. All of that might have been a little bit confusing, and it's always easier to explain things when you work through an example. So let me give you the example of using this tool. I ran this analysis between me and a cousin that is, I can basically guarantee at this point she's related to the unknown paternal great-grandfather that I've been missing for many years. I know by process of elimination, because she's not related to anybody else that's in my tree, and she's one of the closest cousin matches that I have, this is literally the only place where she can match me at this point. Knowing that, going into this analysis knowing that, I can create graphic models of the potential lines of inheritance that I could share with her based on the DNA that we have. So I go through the menu, I input all of the information it's asking for. You're going to have to run a one-to-one analysis and copy some information from that analysis. You'll have to run an XDNA analysis and do the same thing. If you don't know what something means, just leave it alone, let it run the default, which is what I did. One of the questions that it's going to ask you, though, is who you think is younger between the two kits that you're comparing. And I know in this case, for a fact, that I am the younger person. I'm much younger. and that there's going to be at least 1 or 2 generations of separation between me and this other person. So those were the options that I picked for that. You won't always know, but just if the person especially has a tree, try and make the most educated guess you can with that. Once you fill everything out, you run the analysis. One of the things that it's going to give you is an estimate of how many generations removed from the common ancestors each person is. So when I ran this, it told me that I am 3 generations away from the most recent common ancestor, and my cousin match is most likely 2 generations removed. This is valuable because in the modeling that I was doing in my own mind, I thought I was 4 generations removed from the most recent common ancestor, and this is telling me that I could potentially be 3. So it's just something to keep in mind as I work through this. It's not going to be perfect. This is not gospel. This is not 100% reliable in terms of, being absolutely accurate, but this is giving me a new way of looking at of the problem that I'm trying to solve, and these are the types of problems that this tool was created to solve. So if you're in a similar situation to mine, this is something that could really help you, so definitely be sure you check it out. So that's all I have for you today. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you like this video, if it was helpful to you, please share it on social media. It helps us a lot. Thank you so much for stopping by, and we hope to see you again.